The gap between worlds responds to both the different cultural areas that I'm engaged with as an artist, as well as the different places that I've lived and the different influences, specifically through individuals that have shaped my practice. It's a sort of an assemblage then of skills and methods that are not internally sort of arising, but are essentially learnt and repeated like components in a system. So I often think of things in this way: system-based thinking or assemblage-based thinking about the components that make up something rather than the seeming whole at the end. There's this idea that we look at something from the outside that's complete, say a house. You enter and occupy and use in certain ways, but another way of looking at that house is that's actually an assemblage of very specific components. In fact, so many small components, and then the components are made of components themselves. And so it becomes this complex system of small parts that work together to produce something that is seemingly simple. I'm very interested in this idea of Umwelt, which is a German term, which the easiest way to describe it is it's the environment as particular to an individual organism. So each individual brings a different sense of sensory capacities to how they're viewing and understanding the world, and that influences then the world that they're actually living in. So we could argue that the world is kind of split into these mini worlds reflecting into each other, which is, what I've tried to achieve through the artwork in terms of visually trying to speak about this. The processes that I've used relate to this same idea in that I've sort of drawn on a range of different skills and processes to produce the work. My father and my grandfather, they loved doing a bit of woodwork in the shed, and that was something that I always loved to do a bit of as well. This particular work was an opportunity to spend time in the studio, in the shed, working with wood and tools to produce these frames that support the LED mirrors. The LEDs and the mirrors are something that I developed a few years ago, both through exposure to other artworks working in a similar manner, as well as doing lots of festival work, particularly with Monofoma, and sort of coming up with installations and ideas that really used reflectivity and light as a methodology to create different senses of space. So within this work, I've sort of married those two things together